Welcome back to the Marianne Hickman Show. And if you're brand new here, thank you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for being here, because here's the thing. If you're listening to podcasts, I know this about you. You're the kind of person that wants to take their life to the next level. And I know that's like a blanket vanilla statement, but we're all on this hungry journey to say, how can I do this better? And if we are listening to podcasts, it means we're actively looking for blind spots that we can cinch up, tighten up, and maybe we're out of it to make more money. And maybe we're in it to make our better relationships. And maybe we're in it to grow our connection with our higher power, whatever you deem that to be. You know me, I deem him God and Heavenly Mother. They're both there. Well, today's episode is all about monetizing your mindset. And so I had one of the members of the Mastery Hive come join us on the show. His name is Bart Merrell, and I call him the unemployable Bart because he's never had a job. And this guy has a fascinating story. If you're watching on video, you're going to see something really unique about Bart, something very parallel to another couple of guests that we've had. I don't know what it is, but we've learned so many things from people in the world of amputees, where they're taking this tragedy that they've had in their life and they're turning it into life lessons. And Bart even turned it into an income stream. So if you're looking for additional income streams, additional side hustles, additional ways to grow your mission through funding, this is going to be a fantastic episode for you. It might even give you some ideas on how to monetize what you're already doing. So if you're listening to this because someone sent it to you, tell them thank you. Just go ahead and send them a text right now and say, thanks for sending me this episode. And again, if you're here to grow your mindset, if you're here to grow your monetization, I got to tell you, you're in the right place. I'm excited for you to tell me about this episode in the comments and what you think. Check it out.
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, so one of the things that you said on one of your videos recently, and you've said it on stage plenty of times, is I turned my amputation into a revenue generating activity.
Yes.
That was wild. That was wild. I want to know about that.
Just a little bit about my brain.
Yeah.
You know, I call it Monetize Your Mindset. I learned it from my dad. My dad was a pig farmer in southern New Mexico, but that wasn't all he did. He was an entrepreneur. He did things that he liked to do.
Mm-hmm.
He was part owner in a dairy in Idaho, part owner in a mushroom plant in Fillmore, Utah. He owned part of a produce warehouse in Phoenix, Arizona, which was where Diamondback Stadium now stands.
Oh, okay. Okay. I know where that is.
He made a chunk of change when they wanted that property.
Okay.
Okay.
So, but did he found all of these?
He just was in strategic partnerships with people
Okay.
that he knew.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
The key of networking and reaching out and collaborating and doing stuff like that on a different level. I mean, back on the farm level.
Yeah. Agricultural farming, kind of that thing.
And so that was him. That was what he did. And he never set me down and taught me the birds and the bees of business. He just,
that's another book, by the way.
he just showed me by example.
Yeah. He just lived it. And he
then
probably took you all to these places.
And he encouraged me whenever I wanted to start my first side hustle at 15, which we can probably get into later.
Yeah. I want to know about that.
But let's go to the amputation. When I found out it was going to happen, there's nothing I could do about it. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so once I came to grips with it, which was fairly quickly, I was like, okay, this is going to happen. I don't like it. I'm not happy about it, but how am I going to monetize it? That's the way my brain works.
That is uncommon. It is exceedingly rare. I get the same entrepreneurial bone in my body. Like, how could I monetize this? Right. But it is exceedingly rare. That's a visionary mindset right there, is to say, I know this is going to happen. How can I monetize it?
Well, and people talk about when life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Exactly.
I take it a step further. If I'm going to make lemonade, I might as well build a lemonade stand and sell the stuff.
Why else would we make lemonade?
And so I started thinking, how am I going to do this? You know, obviously you can use it as a speech on stage. You can use it as, you know, consulting other people. You can do a YouTube channel. You can do a lot of things with that.
Sure.
I contracted with my prosthetist to where I consult with people that are going to go through what I went through.
Uh-huh.
But then I also do marketing reach out for him on the amputation side of things.
How do you market amputations?
Well, we're marketing.
You guys really want this.
We're not marketing the amputation per se, but we're getting in with doctors who do that type of surgery.
Okay.
Whether it's, I mean, right now we're doing, so he has a partial foot prosthetic for someone who has to have half of their foot cut off
Uh-huh.
that gives them more balance and gives them, because normally when you cut off the front of your foot, they just stuff your shoe with stuff. And so if you rock forward,
Oh, you're done.
you fall down.
Game over.
Okay. So this prosthetic is like a foot that you put your foot in, your half a foot into.
Yeah, yeah.
And they can change the pressure on the front end for depending on your weight.
No kidding.
And so that's what I'm going to podiatrists and people who do amputations and helping the guy get his word out there.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I tell them that, I wanted to make friends with him, so I cut my leg off to do it. Now we're friends and we work together.
It's networking to the max. But this was a predicted, I mean, this was very recent. This wasn't like when you were 6 or when you were 8.
No, this was a year ago.
A year ago.
Almost, what is today? March 25th, it'll be a year.
Wow, that's our film.
Hey, what's up? Marianne Hickman here. Listen, I'm interrupting my own show because I want to give you something. Now, you guys all want to get on more stages. I've got a free resource for you of stages that are just clamoring for guests. They need guests on a daily, weekly, sometimes monthly basis. This is my podcast database. Now, what I'm going to do is have you go to mariannehickman.com/database. Once you put in your information there, I'm going to send this to you totally for free. Open up this database. You're going to click through it, find the next podcast that's relevant to your topic, hit the application button, show up on their podcast, get in front of their people, and share your content. Remember, mariannehickman.com/database. Let's get you unlocked.
Day. That's pretty dang awesome. Okay, so this, I don't think I know what led up to this. Do I get to know?
You get to know. So I went to you know Peak Potentials, T. Harv Eckert's.
Oh, yeah.
The equivalent of Tony Robbins for Canada, I guess.
Right. I've heard of him.
He has this getaway in Canada. And I signed up for this retreat, wanting to go improve myself.
Yeah, as we do.
And about a month before I was set to leave, my wife comes out of her office and she says, "You can't go." And I'm like, what? I can't go
you
where?
You paid for it, you scheduled it, all of that.
And she's like, "You can't go to Canada. It's a bad direction." She's big into feng shui.
Oh.
And I says, "I can't live my
woo-woo.
life on your feng shui. I am..." Another story. I am not about woo-woo. I am not about woo-woo.
And here's your wife saying, cardinally, directionally, feng shui, you can't go.
And the truth of the matter is I didn't want to tell her how much it cost. But obviously I already paid for it. I wouldn't get my money back.
Sure.
And anyway, I didn't listen. She goes back in her office. She comes back out and she says, "No, it's a horrible direction. This could affect you for the rest of your life." Well, I went. On the last day I was dropped from a ropes course, the belayer yelled up and said, "Okay, lean back and let go." I leaned back and let go and went zzz, and landed on my ankle. And this was an event where they encouraged,
the trust fall, right?
No, they encouraged the suck it up. It's, work through the pain. It's just a sprained ankle type of thing. And so I continued through the day. By the night, I was limping severely. I went to bed. I couldn't sleep because of the pain. In the middle of the night, I needed to get up and go pee.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk to the bathroom. So I literally crawled out on my hands and knees, peed next to my tent, and crawled back in my tent.
Oh, so you're in a tent in Canada, not even in a nice hotel in Canada.
Oh, no. This is out in the mountains in the Blue Glacier National Park. It was beautiful. It was great. It was
I'm sure
fun.
It was gorgeous. They don't make ugly land in Canada.
And it was awesome. It was a good experience, other than I was dropped. And anyway, I had 2 bus rides home the next day, 2 bus rides, and then a plane ride.
Yeah.
With 2 big suitcases and crutches for someone 5'10". By the time I got home, I was swollen clear to my knee, running 102-degree fever.
Oh, no.
And the next Monday, I went to the doctor, and they said it wasn't broken, it's just a bad sprain.
So they did an X-ray,
Mm-hmm.
didn't find a break. You're sick up to your knee. Your leg is sick up to your knee. And that's a bad sprain. No. Something else is going on here.
And okay, so I'm a tough cowboy from New Mexico.
Yeah.
I listened to the doctor, and really one of my favorite sayings is "suck it up, buttercup."
That was what my dad taught me.
Okay,
That was our household saying.
So that's one of my favorite sayings, and I just didn't ask questions. I should have asked more questions. I didn't. Fast forward to 2021. Because my ankle didn't have movement, this leg filled up with blood clots.
Wait, hold on, back up. You're how long after the accident?
So this was 2012 when the accident
2012, and in 2021, 9 years later.
Okay, so let's go back.
What happened?
So it was swollen and hot forever.
Yeah.
But I was heavier back then and not doing much, so it didn't hurt. I lost 50 pounds, and I started to do stuff, walking with the dogs in the mountains and stuff.
So you're back on your feet by this point. Like the sprain has...
The sprains, but then it started to hurt, and it started to hurt more, and started to hurt more.
Okay.
And so I went to orthopedic surgeon, and they said, well, they still didn't say it was broken. They still took x-rays, and they didn't say it. They said, you're just going to have to fuse it whenever the pain gets bad enough. And so I'm going to just continue on. Then in 2021, it was a Thursday morning. I remember it like it was yesterday. Getting up, everything was normal. Got out of the shower, put it on my pants, put it on my shoes. I stood up, and I couldn't breathe.
What?
And this is during COVID. So I'm like, is this COVID? Is this what COVID is? Am I having a heart attack? There's nothing running down my arms.
There's no pain down your arm.
What's going on?
You just can't catch a breath?
I literally cannot catch a breath. And so I stand up, I sit down, I even jump up and down. Like, I don't know what that's going to do for me. Then make me more winded.
Or make it harder to breathe, but I can't breathe.
I'm thinking, am I going to die? I cannot breathe.
Are you at home alone?
My wife's in the kitchen doing something. I'm in the bedroom, and I'm just like, I cannot breathe. Am I going to die? And I told myself, okay, you need to calm down, relax, and just try and breathe.
Yeah.
And so I sat in my wife's makeup chair, and I just took a little and a little and little until I finally got breathing somewhat normal.
And you never passed out.
I never passed out. I just...
Okay. What on earth?
But then I couldn't get, my hands were shaking. I couldn't get normal.
I'm sure you have adrenaline at this point and all of that.
I took my blood pressure. It was high, but according to Google, you probably should see a doctor, but you don't need to call the ambulance. I'm like, okay. And went to my desk. And I had a busy day that day. I had a 11 o'clock, a 1 o'clock, a 3 o'clock, and a 5 o'clock appointment. And so I'm like, I don't have time to go to the doctor. And so I sat down, and I still couldn't get calm.
The suck it up energy is strong.
I'm on my computer. I'm like, okay, I got to go do something. I checked Instacare, or the urgent care, and it was only a 15-minute wait. Okay, I'm going to run to Instacare. I'll be right back to do my appointments, and we'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went there, and remember, this is during COVID. And I walked up to the counter, and we have a young person at the counter, and then an older person at the counter. And the young person, how can I help you? Oh, I'm having trouble breathing, blah, 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 blah. Oh, you got COVID. We can't help you here. You need to go to the emergency room. And I'm like, and the lady that's sitting next to her, the older receptionist, she's like, no, you need to listen. He's talking about tightness in his chest. You need to get him to a nurse to see him right away.
Thank goodness for experience instead of panic.
But the outcome was the same. Something's really going on. We can't help you here. You need to go to the emergency room. Shall we call you an ambulance? I'm like, no, I'll just drive. It's just down the way. Got the emergency room. I had what they call a saddle embolism, which is right in the center, and it blocks the vein to both the lungs.
Okay, so this is where's the embolism? Is it in your...
It's in the lungs, headed to the...
Okay, so it's heading toward the lung.
It's blocking the main arteries that feed blood to your lungs.
And an embolism is a blockage, not a...
It's a blood clot.
It's a blood clot, not a, what do they call it? The cholesterol clot. It's a blood clot in your bloodstream. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are scary.
And the saddle embolism... I mean, I've went to doctors after that and, for my foot and stuff. And it's like, oh, you've had a saddle embolism and you're still with us? Because they find most people passed out or dead. Yeah. Blue from the chest up.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even tell my wife when I left that I was.
She knows now though, right? This is not going to be the first time she's hearing it. Okay.
I didn't tell her I was going to Instacare. And so I called her. I called her from the emergency room when they found it and told her that I'm not going to be coming home tonight, thinking I would get some sympathy, you know. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I tell you every day to get up and walk around your desk every 30 minutes so this stuff wouldn't happen. And I'm like, hon, I almost died here. give me some sympathy. Anyway, that is a long story for I don't know what reason.
I think I like your wife. I told you. I mean, are you okay?
And so anyway, that's kind of a long story of how this happened.
Wait, no, we're not even there yet because we're at saddle embolism.
Okay, we're at saddle embolism. After that, I got a CT scan done and found out the ankle was crushed on the back and the front with the bone fragments blocking my ankle movement. And so
And nobody caught this. And how long has it been at this point?
That would have been, 9 years?
So you're almost a decade out from this accident. You've got bone fragments, probably tearing the cartilage off the rest of your ankle, I'm assuming.
And so my theory is that it was hot and inflamed for so long that it burned all the cartilage and burned everything up. Then when I started to get active and get healthy and do things, it just slowly started scraping. And so the consensus was I saw several orthopedic surgeons because I wanted to get an ankle replacement. I wanted to see if I was a viable candidate for an ankle replacement.
Seems logical to me.
And they said, out of the 5 reasons I wouldn't give you an ankle replacement, you have 3 of them. You're too young, your talus, the ankle bone is dead or dying, and I can't remember what the other one was. But anyway, there was 3 reasons out of 5 that they didn't want to do it. And so they said your best bet is to get it fused whenever it gets to a point where you can't stand it.
And now a fusion is we're going to take, you've got your metacarpals and your carpals.
You're going to
tarsals, sorry. Metatarsals and your tarsals.
You screw the talus to your leg bones, your tibia and your fibula, and it just doesn't move. You lose this.
You lose your toe up flexibility. Okay.
But I already was only at like 1 or 2%. And so it wasn't going to affect me.
Not a big loss there.
And so, of course, I said, okay, I don't want to do it now. I don't want to fuse it now. And then in 2023, I decided it was time. It was October-ish.
Yeah.
And I went in thinking I was going to schedule an ankle fusion. And even the radiologists aren't supposed to say anything.
No, they're not.
Take pictures.
They're just supposed to take pictures.
He takes the first picture, and from behind that wall that he's like, damn, you don't have an ankle bone. And I'm just like, oh, crap.
Oh, my God.
So my ankle bone had disintegrated so much that my tibia.
And you're talking the bottom of your tibia right here, right? Or
I'm talking the ankle bone, the talus bone that's
okay.
It's in between your heel bone and your tibia and fibula, and it connects to the metatarsal stuff.
Richard,
here.
Pull up a picture of the talus for me, will you? I want to see this. I have screws and pins in my ankle, so I have X-rays of my own foot. So I'm curious. Like I wanted to say, okay, can you move that over to that other screen so I can see? You're like Jamie from Joe Rogan's thing. You're so cool. Okay, zoom that in for me.
Okay.
The talus bone. It's not your heel, is it?
No.
Oh, it wants you to sign up for someone's free
It's
book.
this thing right in the middle.
Okay, so it's one of.
It's the miracle bone of your ankle.
I see.
It allows your ankle to do all the movement.
Oh, it is like the bone, the monster bone that connects your tibia and fibula to all of the metatarsals or the tarsals.
It takes all the pressure of your body weight.
Yeah, because that's where it's hitting right there.
And it gives you all the movement.
Wow.
And so that's gone.
It's gone.
It's basically gone. I go into the doctor's office and I already know something's really bad.
Yeah, because the radiologist is like, yeah, you know.
And I says, well, he says, we can't do a fusion. There's nothing to fuse to. I'm like, okay, so what's my options? Your best option is amputation.
That's the best option?
He said, you can So at that time, I was in, well, no, at that time I wasn't in a boot. But after that, I put a boot, one of them big air cast boot things on.
Yeah.
Because walking on it was putting so much pressure on my tibia that eventually that was going to snap.
It makes sense because there's
And
nothing for it to run
and
into.
when it does snap, it's more than likely going to be a compound fracture.
Yeah. Oh.
And so he said that, and I literally had to excuse myself. I'm like, I'll be back. I got to go pee. And he's looking at me like, I have other patients, right? I'll be right back. I couldn't hold it.
You just told me amputation. You got to give me a second.
And anyway, long story short, we got it cut off. And if you want more, it's even part of the reason I ended up being okay with it and as good as I handled it as well as I did is I was originally scheduled to get it cut off in November of 2023.
Oh, so you had kind of a pre lead up to we're going to remove this anyway.
And because of insurance reasons, why go max out of pocket in 2023 and then in 2024 when I have to pay for the leg? Let's just do it in the first of the year. Plus, why cheer up the holidays by chopping off body parts, And so I postponed it till January. In January, my wife had to have quadruple bypass surgery.
Oh, gracious.
We she was having trouble just breathing, and she's Japanese. She eats better than any of us do. And she has genetic high cholesterol that causes blockages. So if I would have had my leg chopped off in November, I wouldn't have been able to take care of her when she was going through what she did. So then I postponed it till February 29th. And I went in for my pre-op appointment. They says, well, we're shutting down the clinic here. So we're only allowing one night stays. So they wanted to chop off my leg and send me home the next day. And I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. So I switched down to Utah Valley, switched doctors, switched prosthetist, and everything just seemed to click. And so I felt like it was divinely guided as far as the timing.
Sure.
And that I just felt like everything was going to work out. And it's been as good as can be expected.
Wow.
So that's a long story for.
No, but I love
it.
How
did you get it cut off?
No, I wanted that. I had Hunter. I don't know if you watched that episode with him, but he was in a different but similar situation. And I don't know why, but I've just been surrounded by so many people who have gone through this experience and this losing part of you, but gaining so much more has been a common theme.
And it was scary. I mean, walking through, I walked into the hospital. And walking through those doors that morning was the scariest thing I've ever done. And I've done some pretty stupid stuff. That is scary stuff. Jumping off a bungee tower, just hanging onto the bungee cord, stuff like that. No. Jumping out of a plane. And anyway, so walking through the doors that morning was the best way to explain it is it felt like dead man walking, a prisoner walking to the death chamber. It's a little exaggeration, but that's how it felt because I'm not walking out.
Not
I'm
all of you.
walking in, but I am not walking out.
That's so wild.
Because
trip.
I won't have my prosthetic when I get out of the hospital.
Yeah, you won't be ready for it for weeks.
Yeah. And so mine was 6 weeks. I got my first prosthetic 6 weeks and a day. I was back to training dogs in 3.5 months.
Wow.
And like I said, I'm more mobile than I was for 12 years.
Wow.
So yeah, that's.
So we transition this to this mindset that you've had from when you were a kid. I call it the unemployable, because you'll never work a job. You never will work a job. You never have worked a job. You've always worked for Bart.
Yep.
And I have to say, so the term monetize your mindset, it's been thrown around a lot to the point where it can almost be cliche, right? But it has so much meaning for you. And I know for everyone that has become an entrepreneur, even is thinking about entrepreneurship, there's a reason why. What's your reason?
So my initial life's plan and life's goal was to get in the FBI and chase serial killers.
No kidding.
That's what I want to do. That was just
Richard, you got to have Bart on your podcast. Seriously, like that was one of Richard's parallel goals too.
That was what when I came home from my mission, it was like, okay, the goal was get into the FBI. That was the goal. And then I found out you had to be a lawyer or an accountant or an IT guy. And I was like, no, that's not why I want to be in the FBI. So I think we've talked about this briefly.
We did briefly.
You got to
yes.
do an episode on this one.
And-
You want to get into the FBI.
And so, like he was saying, an accountant, and that's one of the easiest ways in the FBI because most accountants don't have that
Gumption.
gumption or adrenaline junkie mindset. They want to sit behind a desk, and I had no interest in accounting at all. We had an FBI friend that was a banker. He was retired FBI, and he says, once you get in, you just apply for what you want, and if you're good at it, you can get there.
Yeah.
So how you get in doesn't matter. And so I went to school in accounting. I don't like accounting. I wasn't good at accounting. If there was accounting in the title of the class, I was not getting an A. If it was biology or psychology or history or anything else, I didn't even hardly have to study and I would get an A or a B.
Yeah.
But with accounting, it was like a B, B minus, C. It was just a struggle. So it was not my thing. I went home to help Dad on the farm and improve my Spanish right before my last quarter up at Utah State University.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was down there, a lot of the customs friends and border patrol agents and police officers that I knew down there were getting RK surgery done on their eyes to correct their vision.
Okay.
I'm in Podunk, New Mexico, making money. It's in my pockets, trying to burn a hole out. And I'm like, I want to do that. I want to get rid of my glasses. And so I went and got it done. It was great. I went from, 20/60 to 20/25 in both eyes. It was great. I got back up to Utah State, started the application process to the FBI, and I found out that automatically disqualifies you from the FBI.
No way. So they would rather you have glasses than RK surgery?
I don't know exactly what the reasoning was because you could get it done after you got in, but not before.
That makes no sense.
But their reasoning on the application was because it's still experimental.
Oh, gracious.
And so I am devastated. What am I going to do? I don't want to be an accountant. I don't want to count other people's money. What am I going to do? And I'm doing my part-time job that I was doing there at the time was landscaping because I knew how to lay pipe and do that type of stuff. And a buddy of mine, he says, hey, do you want to go back to Japan? Because I'd served a church mission in Japan. He worked for the bungee tower company up there in Logan, and they had sold a bungee tower to Japan, and they needed someone who spoke Japanese. Like, sure, why not?
Why not?
And that's when my dad's stuff kicked in. I don't know what I'm going to do, but hey, I'm an adrenaline junkie. I love doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, let's do it. And so we took the first bungee jump over there. We did 5 the next year, and I think 6 the next year. We had a total of 12 over there. And then the big swing thing in Lagoon, the sky coaster, took the first sky coaster over there.
Wow.
And I just started doing stuff like that. I would go over there for 3 or 4 months at a time, come back to the U.S., and I would do whatever I wanted. And I'd go back over there for 3 or 4 months and make enough money to just come. And so I would just do things that I wanted.
Oh, I want everyone that's listening to that to just listen to that phrase right there. Because that's one that's been tickling my brain more and more and more. Just do what you want to do.
And what I did is when I was home, I would go work as a welder because I enjoyed building things.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I would go weld at this factory just because I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get paid for it. I'd get compensated for it, but I didn't need to go.
Yeah, yeah. It was just fun.
I just continued, just trying things, and some things worked, some things didn't. And that's just kind of the way my Monetize Your Mindset started. Then that came to me one day, monetize your mindset, because that's when something crosses my path, I always think, can I monetize it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't monetize everything, but I at least think about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I consider what a monetized mindset is.
So your primary goal, is it to get, when you're speaking and when you're serving people, is your primary goal to help people that want to exit their 9 to 5? Is it to, like, what audience are you serving with this?
So let's go back to getting my leg chopped off. Even right at the beginning, I'm going to get my leg chopped off. How am I going to train dogs? How am I going to make money? How long am I going to be away from making money? And it is one of my streams of income, but it was my main stream of income at the time, was training dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I could not do that on one leg. I can't do that on one leg. And so I was going to have to wait to get a prosthetic and I had no idea how long or what it was going to be, what it's going to be like. Am I even going to be able to do that?
Yeah.
So when life happens, I say what happens when what happens. Are you prepared?
Yeah.
But even if you are prepared or somewhat prepared, when life happens, right up at the top of the list is, can I afford this?
It's usually the first question. Yeah.
And so everybody needs to be aware that they need multiple streams of income. Even if you're a W-2 employee, you need a side hustle so that you can take advantage of the tax benefits.
100% agree on that.
And so, but more than that, what if you get laid off? What if you get hurt and you can't work?
Mm-hmm.
We're both on Connect Utah, the group. You'll see questions in there. My employer, I got hurt and my employer's not giving me the time off I need. He's going to lay. And you're just like, that's why you need multiple streams of income to take care of you.
It seems like you shouldn't have to convince people of this.
But you do.
It's crazy.
And I know you've heard me say this before, but one of the things that people come to me with and their biggest pushback is, well, you know what they say, jack of all trades, master of none.
But you finish it because you know that's at the end.
Finish it, exactly.
Yeah.
And the finishing is, though sometimes better than the master of one.
Yes.
And I'm just like, whoever took that and put that as a negative to someone was, it's conspiracy theory because they wanted you to focus on your job. They didn't want you to go get a new job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or heaven forbid, a higher skill set.
And so you just need multiple streams of income so that when things happen, you at least feel a little bit more comfortable.
Well, and when my husband and I really started living this, we started acquiring businesses. And we're like, this business is going to feed, this business is going to feed. And these are non-related. So if one goes down, it doesn't touch the others. It doesn't affect the others, right? And we have our multiple streams. What we discovered was what we thought was a side hustle was a full-time job. And a side hustle, by definition, needs to fit in your side time, right?
Correct.
You can hustle in your side time. And I think a lot of people have been burned because the side hustle title has been assigned to things that need full-time hours. And so I think, to your point, people are hesitant to pick up a side hustle because it doesn't fit in the side.
But also they need to, well, in my opinion, look at maybe having that side hustle. You're more happy doing that and it can become your main hustle.
If it takes over. Yeah.
If you can, get that income then you get rid of your job.
Mm-hmm.
And then but you do need to have multiple streams. And one of the pitfalls that we were talking about when pitfalls of starting a side hustle is that you try to do everything by yourself. And I'm guilty of that.
Oh, same.
I am so guilty of that. And so I have to make the conscious effort to outsource some of my things.
Mm-hmm. So give me 3 things. And I know that you have a full book of 25 side hustles for 25. Is that going to be available for everybody?
Yes.
Can we give that away? Okay.
Yes.
So you're going to get that. It's in the show notes. So go grab it. But give me 3 things that someone who knows, they're like, okay, I do need an extra side hustle or an extra stream of income, my next stream of income. Or if they're like me, they know that their W-2 is as stable as a house of cards and it could topple at any moment and you could be replaced at any minute. What are 3 things that those people can do?
Okay, so 3 side hustles that I like. I'll just tell you one. I got in an Uber the other day, and I was talking to the lady, and so how's Uber doing for you? She's like, oh, it's great. I just do it going to work and from work. And she lived in Payson, worked at the University of Utah. She was a nurse.
All the way the heck up north. That's an hour drive for those of you that don't know the area, minimum.
But in rush hour traffic,
Mm-hmm.
if she has someone with her, she gets to use the HOV lane.
So she's house hacking her car, taking what she already uses, not making extra trips, and she just brings someone with her, and now her trip is free, paid for.
Makes an extra $50-$60 a day.
That's brilliant.
And she gets home quicker.
Because she's in the HOV lane. What a brilliant
And so
hack.
that's just one that's there.
Okay, so if you have a commute, make money off of it. That's brilliant. I know. I never thought of that.
Another one I like, and people might push back on it because there is training and you have to learn, is Forex trading. I trade in the gold market, and I don't know, I make a couple $100 a day easy.
Wow.
And I'm not training it, but I do know a guy who does.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I have a mentor out of California who does way better than I do.
Wow.
The guy's crazy. And I do it. There's certain times that I need to pay attention, but on my phone, I have an alarm that tells me when something happens that I need to go look at.
Mm-hmm.
And if I look at it, I say, okay, I like that. I'll run to my computer, hop in, set the things, and walk away.
That's wild.
So that's a great one. There is a learning curve, but it's depending on how smart you are. It's 3 to 5 months.
Okay. All right.
It's not bad.
And that's maybe how often? How many minutes a day?
Do I do it?
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah.
So today is crazy because of the speech that's going to happen tonight. I'm not even looking at it because it's just going too much and I can get hurt.
Yeah.
But that some days, so this may not be the most healthy thing in the world, but I sleep with my phone with those alarms go off in the middle of the night. And if an alarm goes off, I'll pick up my phone and look at it. And if it's something I like, I'll run to my computer, set it up, and then go back to sleep.
There you go.
But so I do it, but it takes me 5 minutes to look at it, see if I like it, and go set it up and get back to bed or get back to doing whatever I was doing. If it's moving fast or moving, and I just set my alerts to alert me when I need to go check again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so it's one of those things that there are people making good money at it if they pay attention and follow the rules.
So 15, 20 minutes a day after you get your training. It might be at odd times during the day, but maybe you're already up at odd times.
But
it's possible.
you may do it 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Okay.
maybe you don't do it at all because of like today, it's just too crazy. There's too much news happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's in your spare time.
Yeah.
And like I say, if you get good, you can make 1,000 a day.
Yeah.
That's
That's
better
not
than
too
your
shabby.
job.
Yeah, for
Better
sure.
than most people's job.
Especially with way less time.
Yeah.
Okay. What's thing number 3?
Thing number 3, what would I just take something off the wall. Okay. So this liner in my thing here, this little
The
rubber
pad
thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
that is a 3D printed item.
That foam is?
This here.
Is it foam?
It's
Or is it hard?
It's a hard foam,
Okay. All right.
but it's 3D printed. You can buy a 3D printer and print stuff. You have to find the right market and
Sure.
find the right thing,
Yeah.
but that's something you can set your printer up to do. So these were done at my prosthetist. They have several 3D printers and they put the things in there. They just let them go.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're running.
And it does, and it takes all night. And so it's printed in its sleep. And then once again, you have to find the right product and the right niche, but it's not just this. They're 3D
Well,
printing.
you can 3D print anything. I've seen people 3D print houses.
Yeah. So
You get a
it's
concrete
crazy.
printer. It's wild. That's a little more of an investment, but
Yeah. And your 3D printer, I looked them up online. They're going to be $1,000 to $1,500 for the stuff that I'm talking about.
Sure,
Now,
sure.
Not a concrete one.
yeah, yeah. I saw a guy, actually a friend of mine, she did the same thing, wasn't with a 3D printer, but the same price point. She bought a vending machine. Now, she happened to live on a school route where kids walk to school. She plugged the vending machine into her house, and every time the kids walked to and from school, they'd buy chips and soda from her vending machine. She didn't have to go look for a a place to put it. She didn't have to pay an overhead fee for their, off the top. And she goes on a family vacation every year.
Yeah.
From that. It's incredible. So I'm really excited to get this top 25 of 25 out to everybody.
Let me just do one more that just popped into
Will
my head
you?
that I should
Yes.
have mentioned.
Bonus.
AI.
Mm.
AI is huge right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to get into AI and learn stuff and train people on how to use AI, game over.
Yeah.
If you keep up with I went to a 3-day seminar. It was just virtually online. It is crazy the stuff you can do. I think you saw that one picture where it just
with the folding up
squeezing
picture,
into
that was wild.
into a
Like your
piece of
Play-Doh now.
And then there was another one that I could put stuff. It's called something LM. I forget. You might know what it is. A Google LM or something like
I
that.
haven't heard
For
that one.
AI?
Yeah.
And, what is it called? The learner
Something LM. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
LLM, I think, or
I
something
put
like that.
in
Yeah.
my some of my information, my website, different pages of my website, a couple of my speeches, and these two people talked about me for 15 minutes.
No, like real people
No,
or AI people?
AI people like you and I discussing things right now, and it talked about me.
Whoa.
Well, it looks like this guy's kind of crazy. That's crazy that he jumped off a bungee tower just hanging onto the cord. It is a promo.
I don't even have to do my own podcast anymore, you guys.
Nope, you don't.
It
You
is
honestly
crazy.
don't. We could totally AI your talk tips.
Wow. I don't know if I want to do that.
No, I don't want to either, but we could. It's super easy. You're sitting in front of a black background. We just AI avatar you, and then use something like 11 Labs to create your voice, and then boom.
We should run a parallel test.
That'd be interesting. It sounds like a lot of work, though.
And it's just crazy stupid, all the stuff that's out there. And if you learn this stuff, you teach other people.
Yeah. And that's what you're doing. You're not only monetizing your mindset with everything that you're doing, but you're monetizing the monetization of mindset by teaching people how to do that. It's so cool.
And I run them through a process because most people don't think like I do. So this was an epiphany to me. So I volunteered at a drug rehab center teaching them how to speak, like public speaking.
Sure. Not relearning English, but like
So
delivery.
it was a Toastmasters inside this drug rehab center.
Oh, that's brilliant. Next time you go, call me.
Well, I did it for a project. I was there. I only had to be there 12 weeks, I think, 8 to 12 weeks. I ended up staying there 3.5 years.
Oh,
COVID came in and they shut us down. And that's when I was able to walk away.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was sitting there and listening to this one girl's story. She was from Price, and she talked about how growing up, she didn't know any different than what she was going through. Out in the public, they were normal. Back home, the neglect, the abuse happened. She thought everybody went home to the neglect and the abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Until she went to college, she didn't realize that her life was different than most people. And I'm sitting there. This is where This is where Monetize Your Mindset started. People don't think like I do because they didn't grow up like I did.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't grow up with a dad like my dad, you don't think like I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I can help people think like I do by running them through this process where we talk about what do you like to do? What do you need to do? What are you already doing? Can we monetize those things?
Yeah. And the answer is always yes.
But it changes their mindset because they start thinking, oh, but what about this? Here's an example. I was helping a friend of mine with taking her through this process. She's a school bus driver, and she wanted to do like a party bus that would take people back and forth to jazz games, or she wanted to do these things. And so we're sitting there, and she's running through this process. I tell her, okay, you go make your list, go home and sleep on it, and let's talk again tomorrow. She comes back tomorrow with a new idea that we didn't even talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And so it changes your mindset to where you start to think and look, and you're finding the things that are just right there that you're already doing that you can monetize.
Yeah.
And I just help people walk them through a process. You walk them through it a few times, And then they start to do it on their own.
They start to think different. They approach things differently. Start to think like your dad did.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm grateful that dads like yours and dads like mine exist. He was very similar. I remember when the Broncos had the Super Bowl in downtown Denver. We were kids and we were tying Bronco balloons all night the night before to go to the game the next day and just sell them all. I'm like, how can I monetize this? How can I monetize this? And Richard and I joke all the time. If we're not careful, we'll start another business. We got to be real careful. Richard went out for a guys' night, and while he was gone, I was like, hey, so I started another company. Whoops. I'm so grateful that you're doing what you're doing. I'm grateful that we get to share the stage, and I'm grateful for the people that you're serving. I want that available. Is there any last message that you have before we wrap up today? If you couldn't talk tomorrow, God forbid, knock on wood, but if you lost your ability to speak tomorrow, what would be the message that you left to the world today?
So what I close with on stage, I want to close with here, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
My dad taught me even in death about monetizing your mindset. So you've heard the story Acres of Diamonds.
I actually haven't, no.
Okay, so it's about a Persian farmer, Ali Hafed. He sold his farm to went in search of diamonds.
Uh-huh.
He died broke alone in a foreign land. He never found him.
Yeah.
But the guy he sold his farm to was watering his camel in the brook, saw this stone in the water there, and he reached and picked it up. It was a diamond. He literally found acres of diamonds in what was Ali Hafed's backyard.
Wow. Where he spent all his time anyway.
My dad, we have a similar story, or our family has a similar story. It's called Acres of Pig Poop. I told you earlier, I grew up on a pig farm in southern New Mexico. There are more pigs than people in our town because of us. And Dad, when he was in his 65-ish, he decided it was time to shut down the pig operation and go in search of his next acres of diamonds. He died at age 81, never found his next riches. We sold the farm about 2 years after his death for $235,000.
Wow.
Which was a fair price for the property.
Yeah.
Now we had tons of pigs on this farm, creating a lot of pig poop. We had these 3 man-made ponds called the lagoons that we would divert the stuff into, settling ponds. So for years they had pig poop running into them. After we sold the farm, the new owner was leveling these man-made ponds with this big heavy grader. They'd been dry on top for years. Well, as the grader's going across, it breaks through the crust and sinks up to its belly in this black muck.
No way.
They called in experts to, is this okay? Is this safe? Well, right there on the spot, the experts offered the new owners of our farm $2,000 a ton for this stuff. That's $1 a pound for old pig poop.
But why?
Fertilizer. It's rich fertilizer. It'd been sitting there in the ground fermenting for years.
Yeah, that's a good stuff.
And so right there, 500 tons of old pig poop was acres of diamonds right under my dad's nose.
Kidding.
So I tell people, what about you?
Wow.
What are you overlooking?
Yeah.
Or are you right there on the cusp of finding your acres of diamonds?
You just didn't plow far enough.
They could be right in your backyard, right within your grasp, or right there under your nose.
And most often they are.
So just pay attention to what's around you. Did I think I could, I make a good chunk of change every month just because of this.
Yeah.
I make a good chunk of change every month because my dog. Why did I start dog training? Because I got this 85-pound Rottweiler puppy that didn't know the word no. I kept asking a friend of mine, what do I do here? What do I do here? And he's a trainer. He says, hey, we're doing the train the trainer program. Maybe you should come and learn how to train your dog, and you can train other people's dogs. You can start a business.
Yeah.
So I took a month, 2 months, went and worked with them, training their dogs. They had a big operation in Payson where I had my hands on over 100 dogs probably in that 2-month period of time because it was all day, every day for 2 months. I walked away, started a business, and I was crazy. It's still crazy. But when I started, I was doing 4 dogs at a time. And so I had my 2 dogs and 4 other dogs. It was crazy. But it made good money.
Yeah.
And it still makes good money.
Yeah.
I've just cut down a little bit and I'm doing other things. That's one of those things where your side hustle turns into your main hustle.
Right.
And there's two options. I hire someone to do what I'm saying that I can do, or I cut down and still have the income coming in, just not as much, but a good supplemental, and I get in another supplemental.
Or you digitize yourself. You record yourself once and sell it many times.
Exactly.
That's another way to do it. Okay. Well, I hope everyone that's listening takes some time with you. Download this guide. Bart and I have worked on this. I've read it. It's awesome. Download this guide, go to the show notes, go get it. And if you like what you see, how can they get a hold of you?
So I'm on Facebook is probably where I mainly hang out, but YouTube, I will be starting a new YouTube channel separate from my main channel.
Yeah.
And so, but you'll find out about it on my main channel when it launches.
Okay.
And so just connect with me, YouTube, Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram, but mainly Facebook.
Okay.
You can put my number in the show notes. I don't care.
Well, we'll make sure it's in there if it's not in your book anyway.
I do have a book. It's on
Okay.
Amazon or at my website at bartmerrell.com.
Okay.
And that's MERRELL. So it's like the
My
boot.
autocorrect has tried to screw me up. Auto incorrect, as my father-in-law says.
It's like the boot. So I have Merrell boots on, Merrell
There you
shoes
go.
on. I'm not affiliated with the company, unfortunately.
Although they
but-
should pay you.
No, right?
Why not? That's what I said. This podcast is not sponsored by Clear Protein, but I wish it was. Bart, thank you for being here today.
All right. Thank you.
It's my honor to have you on the show. I can't wait to see where this goes. I can't wait to interview some of your clients one day and see what they learned from you. Okay, guys, you
appreciate
got to
you
go
having
check
me.
out his stuff. You got to go spend some time with Bart. He's truly an amazing individual. You can tell because we spent some time together on the show today. If you're on Instagram, hello. Thank you for being here. And we will see you in the next episode of the Marianne Hickman Show.
Hey, what's up? Marianne Hickman here. Hey, listen, I hope you enjoyed that episode. We have some pretty amazing speakers on my podcast and, of course, more to come. If this is something that you enjoyed, guys, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. You guys know what to do. I love your comments and I respond to every single one of them personally, not a bot or an agency. So if this is something you're enjoying, tell me about it. Tell me your gold nuggets. I want to hear from you. But here's the most important thing I want you to laser in on. I told you about the podcast database. You've probably seen me post about it all over social media. I want to make sure that you get it. So here's what I want you to do. Go to mariannehickman.com/database. Once you put all of your information in there, I'm going to send you the document. You request access to it. Boom, it's unlocked. Once you're in there, my rule of thumb is to apply to 10 podcasts a month. It's very digestible. It's very easy to do. And the database gets updated twice a week. So I want you constantly checking back in there for the next podcast that fits your audience. Thank you for being here. Much love to you, and we'll see you in the next episode.